The problem with New Zealand is that it's full of these obnoxiously beautiful places, and it just kind of ruins the rest of the world for you. Come on, what the flip? Well, very good morning to everybody out there. I'm in New Zealand with my buddy, Daniel Murray. We're off to the mountains, but we have to make an important stop first to get some breakfast and some lunch here at the Sheffield Pie Shop. One pie down, one pie for lunch. Gonna be a good day, but we gotta get to the mountains first, so let's go. We're going into winter here in New Zealand, and the temperature this morning definitely reflects that. It's about 2 degrees C in about 10 minutes or so. We actually have to cross the Waimakariri River. There's no sun in the valley just yet, so crossing that river is going to be a chilly one. All right, let's back up a second, because where the hell am I and where are we going? So Dan and I are in Arthur's Pass National Park. We're heading up the Waimakariri River as far as we can get to in 2 days. Now, we'd love to get to a place called the Carrington Hut. It's about 20 kilometers or just over 12 miles up this valley. And it sits in a glacially carved basin. I've never been there. Not even Dan has been there, but it's one of the highlight spots on the top of this list. So we are gonna go check it out and see if it lives up to the hype. And when I say we're heading up the valley, I mean that literally. There is no trail here. It's just endless kilometers of river cobbles, loose gravel, and braided streams. Pick a line and hike. Now the days are short, so we're not really sure how far we're gonna be able to get up the valley today. But one thing I know for sure, no matter what, this place is incredibly beautiful. It's preposterous, man. Oh, this freaking country. Sure enough, it is chilly out. The rocks have a little sheen of ice on them, nice and slippery going. Perfect for talking to the camera when I should be looking at my feet. And you'll be able to see the old reliable J. Cripps Rudolph nose temperature gauge coming out. The redder I get here and here, the colder it is. All right, so it looks like we're about to come up to our first river crossing here. Question is, do I take the time to swap out for the Crocs? Or do I just bash through? Dan, are you just gonna go straight for it?
Straight through, mate.
I don't want to be walking in wet shoes all day. So at least for the start here, I am gonna take the time to swap into Crocs, going into sport mode. Okay, now I am ready to cross, at least physically. Emotionally, I don't know if I'm ready. Well, here we go. Okay, it's not that cold. Just kidding, it's really cold. Knee high on this caterpillar. Oh, how beautiful. Can you believe they do this for fun here? What's wrong with these people? After crossing the final braid of the river, I put my shoes back on, but it was definitely a bit of an ordeal. Dry your feet off, get the gravel out from your toes, while trying to do it with freezing cold fingers and little piggies that are going numb. But I am very happy to have warm, dry feet right now. Although I do feel a mild case of the screaming barfies coming on. We're about to experience a moment that I've been looking forward to since my alarm went off at 5:15 this morning.
knowing that it would be cold and frosty. Yes, ha ha ha. Sunlight, yes. The first rays of dawn. Do, 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 do.
For me, this hike was a real full circle moment. I first saw the Waimak Valley in 2004, which was the very first time I ever visited New Zealand's South Island. I remember driving across the bridge heading towards Arthur's Pass National Park, looking up the valley and saying, "Holy crap, look at that scenery. How the hell do you get up there?" I never could have dreamed that 22 years later I'd finally have the chance to find out for myself.
We are reaching our first milestone here in the trip, getting to something called Anti-Crow Hut. Back in the 30s, there was a huge invasion of ravens and crows in New Zealand. So the Anti-Corvid Reclamation League came around and they built this hut here. So this was one of the epicenters of the crow invasion. And they built this hut so people could go out and capture crows. But amazingly, what happened was, well, they would build these nets, these little noose nets, and the crows would land down and get their feet caught in it. But one day, 100 crows at once landed in a net, and they picked off and they actually pulled the roof of the net. The net was attached to the hut, and they pulled the roof off of the hut. And so they had to rebuild. No, I'm just kidding, you guys, come on. There's a valley up here called the Crow Valley. And this is on the other side of it, so it's anti-crow. That's it. That's the story.
From the Anti-Crow Hut, we continued up the valley on an actual formed track until we hit a second major obstacle.
All right, it's decision time. We've come across a bog. Do I put the Crocs back on?
Not me.
No, Dan's just gonna go for it. But what do you do with the wet boots in the morning?
Put them back on.
Oh, yeah. All right, I'm gonna earn my Kiwi Merit Badge and just not even worry about it. It may be wet, but at least it's also muddy. I will say this, it is freeing. Kind of like when you get that first scratch on a brand new car, then you don't care about driving it through the barbed wire preserve. Once your feet are wet, it doesn't matter anymore. You just bash through everything. I'm pretty sure there's a life lesson in here somewhere about acceptance and not trying to fight inevitability.
For the next few hours, we carried on up the valley, hopping in and out of the river and stumbling over the cobbles. And as much as I tried to accept the river crossings, that didn't make them any less frigid or any less exhausting. But the scenery was spectacular, and it helped take my mind off my aching body, at least for the moment. Then, as we approached the second major milestone of the day, it got me thinking about one of the most interesting contrasts that come when hiking in New Zealand.
Is it has the perfect blend of wild and civilized. You can be in these places that are incredibly savage. Places where it feels like you are the only person, or the only two people in this case, in the whole area, in the whole world perhaps. And then the next minute, you will stumble upon a beautifully constructed shelter that can sleep 40 people.
This hut, Carrington Hut, was as cozy as could be, and after the 5 hours of hard work it took us to get this far, I could think of nothing more I wanted to do than to curl up in the sun with a book. But we kept coming back to one all-important question.
Well, we got to decide if we're gonna stay here or carry on. Another couple hours, 3-4 hours maybe. We don't really know.
I, for one, was already feeling a bit tired and a bit cold from the constant river crossings, and I wasn't sure my body was up to another major effort in the afternoon. The other big concern that I had was, even though at this point we still had 5 hours until sunset, I knew that the sun would go behind the mountains much earlier than that, plunging the valley into darkness, and it would get very cold very fast.
I think if it is 5 hours, I probably don't want to do that. But if you think it's significantly less than that, I'd be down to give it a whirl.
After checking the topo map, we realized Barker Hut wasn't actually that far away, which made us a little more optimistic about our chances to get there.
But it does seem like 4 miles and 2,000 feet of gain shouldn't take 5 hours unless the trail is just really rough.
In that moment, I had no idea just how prophetic those words would be.
We decided to press on. So we're leaving Carrington Hut behind. I'm going, excuse me, my nose is running like a faucet these days. We're carrying on up to Barker Hut, we hope. Now, truth be told, if I was here by myself, probably I would stop here. I've never been here. That hut is really cozy. There's a fireplace. And I just love kind of relaxing. You know, we've already had a good 4-something hours of walking in. Be a great place to just chill and read a book. But Daniel has convinced me that the really amazing stuff is farther up the valley, that when we get to Barker Hut, it's going to be incredible, and I really trust his judgment. I really hope it's not 5 more hours to get up there. If so, I'm going to be fucking wiped. But as Daniel said, there is only one way to know for sure what this trail is going to be like. That is to put our little tootsies on the ground and move. So, let's go. I think I followed the wrong line here. Problem is, the scenery just keeps getting better and better. Now I'm in a bunch of shrubberies. Mind melting. And I have this sinking feeling. Oh, this part kind of sucks. A tiny gift from the universe. Ew, this section right here. So dodgy. Left foot, right foot, left. I am starting to believe the 5-hour hype